So back then, growing up in that kind of environment, I was always taught by my parents that put your head down and don't voice your opinion, don't stand out. To remember is that when I was doing my first interview, trying to find a job, like after my college, my mom gifted me this a pair of earrings, and it looks like a tiny blooming flowers. I put them on, and I instantly felt different. Also, after I got into the business, I realized I'm wrong because jewelry is so hard to stand out. It's like a clothing business. It's very cutthroat competitive.
Hey there, entrepreneurs. My name is Sushant, and welcome to Trep Talks. This is the show where I interview successful entrepreneurs, business executives, thought leaders, and ask them questions about their business story and also dive deep into some of the strategies and tactics that they have used to start and grow their businesses. And today I'm so excited to welcome Angela Wright. Angela is the founder of Azura Jewelry. Azura is a jewelry brand that offers beautifully handcrafted jewelry made from ethically sourced sterling silver and semi-precious natural stones. And today I want to ask Angela a few questions about her startup story and some of the strategies and tactics that she has used to grow her e-commerce business. So thank you so much for joining us today, Angela.
Thank you so much for having me, Sushant.
So we're going to start the interview with the first segment, which is called The Story. And in this segment, I want to discover the story behind the entrepreneur, business, or the brand. So why don't you tell us what motivated you to start Azura Jewelry? How did you get the idea, and what were some of the first steps that you took to start the business?
Sure. It's actually a long story back to where I grown up. I was born and grown up in China, and my family was actually heavily, badly persecuted by Chinese communist government back then. So we have experienced the first hand of terror of Cultural Revolution. And for those who don't know what Cultural Revolution is, it's basically a notorious Chinese movement where the stated goal is to preserve communism. And by purging the remnants of intellectuals and capitalists. So my grandpa was the financial minister of old China. He is capitalist and not communist. And my grandma was the daughter of Chinese ambassador to Japan. And we are also the relatives of the first president of Taiwan, Chiang Kai-shek, who is the chairman of capitalists rather than communists. So inevitably, my family become one of the biggest target. And back then, my grandpa was in prison for a pretty long time. My grandma, she was this gorgeous, gorgeous lady, and they shaved her long hair in a public demonstration to basically bald, and she was terribly humiliated and soon passed away after the demonstration. My parents were tortured and interrogated for a pretty long time. So back then, growing up in that kind of environment, I was always taught by my parents that put your head down and don't voice your opinion, don't stand out. To do that is just to save my life, right? Until our family case was reversed in 1992, and I was able to go to school. But growing up in that environment, I wasn't always confident. So back in college, I always trying to, find a good job in a prestigious firm so that I can provide to my family financially.
And this is in New York?
That's back in Shanghai because I only moved to New York 8 years. I moved to DC. That's where I got my MBA degree.
Okay.
2 years, and then I moved to New York. So that was back in China. And so what I remember is that when I was doing my first interview, trying to find a job, like after my college, my mom gifted me this pair of earrings, and it looks like a tiny blooming flowers. I put them on, and I instantly felt different. It felt so special. I was like, wow, I can see taller. I can walk out the door with a new confidence. I just realized such a tiny things that have such a big meaning in my life. So that was really the moment that really ignited my love for jewelry. That was also the beginning of Azura Jewelry, even though at that time I haven't realized. So after that, I worked in China for 5 years, and I moved to the US to pursue my MBA degree.
And this is only 8 years, like maybe 2012?
That was 2011, yes.
Okay.
It was 2011. I moved to the US and got my MBA in 2013. So I started having a Wall Street job, doing private equity and hedge fund investing. So for 5 years, I realized, actually 2 years into the industry, I realized that wasn't my calling. And I keep coming back off the idea of having my own business. So eventually in 2017, Azura Jewelry was actually established in New York in 2017, end of May. And after a year after that, I quit my job and started fully committed to my business. So it's basically the backstory of Azura Jewelry.
And the reason you quit your job was that within that 1 year period, you had already started having enough revenue that you felt confident that, yes, now I can quit my job.
Yes, that wasn't a revenue that comparable to my salary back then, but it was sufficient enough for me to make sure that, okay, that's a viable business.
So I mean, it's very interesting because starting a jewelry business is probably not, I mean, having no background in jewelry or anything like that. What were some of the first steps that you took, when you said, okay, I want to go into a jewelry business? What were some of those first steps that you took to get the business started?
So when I started, it was just really a pure passion and also some logical thinking, because jewelry is small, it's lightweight. So I think, the shipping cost and inventory cost would be low, and perceived value is high. So there is a lot of margin to work in between. That was my logical thinking. But also after I got into the business, I realized I'm wrong, because jewelry is so hard to stand out. It's like a clothing business. It's very cutthroat competitive. So that is the reason I actually got into the business. In the past several years, we actually pivot the business 2 to 3 times until we find a really sweet spot of our pricing, of our value proposition. So back then, when we started, we actually working on building a community on social media platforms. That's actually paid off long run as well.
So basically, you said you pivoted a few times. So initially, when you launched, you hadn't found that product market fit. You hadn't found the right tribe that would buy your jewelry.
No. From the design, from the pricing, from the material that we're using, we actually haven't found that sweet spot. We changed a couple of times. Yeah.
Okay. And after you launched, like, how quickly did you make your first sale? Was it like within days, within months?
We made our first sale, I think, within the first month, like 2 to 3 weeks. But then it was a really quiet period for like a month or two. I think we didn't make any sales. Okay. I think for business, it's a process of figuring out what works, what doesn't, and making adjustment fast.
And your business is completely e-commerce, like it's completely online. There's no
e-commerce.
Okay.
Our brands are carried several stores and boutiques, but our main source of revenue is e-commerce. Yeah.
Okay. So now we're going to move on to our next segment, which I call the business. And in this segment, I will focus a little bit more on your business and ask a few more questions about some of the business strategies and tactics that you use to start and grow your business. So as I was referring a little bit before, starting a jewelry business, from scratch, when you get an idea, it's like I probably wouldn't know where to begin. So can you tell a little bit, and when I look at your Instagram page and your e-commerce shop, the photographs that you have there, like your jewelry looks really amazing. It's like really beautiful. So what is your value proposition as in terms of, what you're offering, and how is it different from what else is available in the market? Like, how do you differentiate your jewelry from what else is available?
Yeah, so Azura Jewelry is mainly targeting to bridge the gap, the quality and the price gap between fine jewelry that use gold and diamond, cost like 500 plus, and those fashion jewelry, that use brass, stainless steel, and glasses and fabrics, relatively cheaper, materials that are not going to last long. So we are somewhere in between. We basically pricing ourselves from 80 to 170, and we use ethically sourced sterling silver as our base model and plated with 14 karat gold, and we only work with natural authentic gemstones. So it's a piece that can last forever, but it doesn't cost you an arm or a leg to purchase. That's basically where we find our sweet spot in this whole market.
And as you were mentioning before that you had to pivot a few times, right now, what have you found your main customer to be? Like, have you narrowed it down to a certain segment of the population? Even in I know most of your jewelry is probably targeted to the female market.
Actually, we target both male market and female market. So male market is it's also a really big gifting market. And the conversion value is actually really high for our male customers.
Okay.
So female markets, they actually buy gifts for themselves, for their families as well. But male market is definitely also a big part. We basically target anybody from 18 to 55, and who have a really great sense of self and sense of style. They know who they are. They actually more focus on the value rather than some big brand names. So that's our customer segment.
And what was that pivoting process like? How did you know? Was it that initially the design or the quality that you were using for your jewelry was different, and then you realized, this is not working really well, so maybe you changed something? Could you describe a little bit of that process of how you came to where you are today?
Sure. So at the very beginning, it's solely arbitrage model where we buy low and sell high, and that didn't work out for us because we had many different styles, and until we narrowed down, we realized, hey, actually, dainty and stackable styles work much better in the US and the European market, which is two of our main markets at this moment, North America and Europe and Australia. So we started to narrow down on the design. And later on, we realized, hey, the materials that we used in jewelry is actually play a very big role when in consumers' buying decisions. So we continue to narrow down on the materials. We decided to use sterling silver, not too expensive, but it's also not like any cheap materials like brass or stainless steels. And we decided to use gemstones, natural authentic gemstones, to really make it stand out, because we also position ourselves as a women empowerment brand. We indeed believe there is a lot of energy and healing properties with natural gemstones. So that is also aligned with our brand position. And then we changed it again. And so that's where we are today with Azura Jewelry.
And right now, when you were doing the arbitrage, were you buying the jewelry from a different country, and now are you still what is the manufacturing process like?
No, right? Now we no longer do the arbitrage model. We actually design our own jewelry, and we work with our production partners to produce our jewelry.
And your jewelry is made in the US, or?
Yes, in New York, we actually work with. So our plating partners are in New Jersey, and we work with jewelers in New York. They're actually from India.
Okay.
Our
India,
skills are-
yeah. India has a big jewelry tradition and culture. Yeah.
If you
That,
ever come to New York, you will know the Diamond District.
okay.
That's basically the Diamond District is a really, really big gemstone and jewelry market
Okay.
for manufacturing and trading.
So basically, there is some process where you come up with the design, and then that design is transferred to these jewelers. They create the jewelry, and then you basically buy it.
Yes, that's our working process at this moment.
So initially, when you had launched in 2017, and I know that at that time it didn't work, and then you tried something different and it worked. What were some of the initial marketing that you did that gave results to you?
So even until today, I think in the past 2-3 years, our efforts really solely focus on Instagram. Okay. That's where our top funnel, we bring in about 60-70% of cold traffic through Instagram. That's also our middle of the funnel, where we use it to nurture our leads and build that trust. With we treat it as like customer support channel, answering questions, like engaging with our customers, and until we bring them to the website, we left the rest of it to the website conversion and email marketing. But yeah, our main focus is really just based on Instagram from the beginning to the end.
And what does your team look like right now? Do you have like employees, or are you like a one-person operation?
So myself, we have 2 customer service. We have 1 social media marketing manager, 1 social media manager who is also our graphic designer, because we need a lot of like a graphic design for our Instagram stories, for our like posts. We also have a marketing manager who was just brought on board at the beginning of this month.
And are these like remote positions, or they're in-house?
They're all remote positions.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all remote positions. Especially now, we really don't feel like we need any like positions based in New York at this moment. Actually, given COVID-19,
Yeah.
So they're all remote positions. We also have a part-time web developer just to help us to manage the conversions and any specifics of our website.
And these remote positions, are they like based out of US, or they're like outside of US?
They're both. So yeah, so our social media manager is actually based in the US, and the rest positions are based outside of the US.
By the way, your social media, your Instagram and Pinterest, like really, really great. It looks really beautiful. It's like really well managed. Yeah. With all the experience that you have now, starting and growing your business, I think almost 3 years of experience now. With all the knowledge that you have now, if you were starting the same business from scratch today, like what would you do differently so that the traction, the time that it takes for you to get the traction is reduced?
I think I would first validate my product. That's a very necessary step that I actually didn't take. That was the reason that we had to pivot it a couple of times after that, and to really bring in the traction.
And how would you do that now? Like, what would be your process?
So I think for jewelry specifically, Etsy would be a good market to really test and see how the market reacts to your brand, and just do a lot of like marketing and initially maybe build your Instagram or Facebook page and run some small ads to see how customers react to your products. That's what I would do. But I actually purchased a lot of inventory up front and trying to sell them. That didn't work out well. So yeah, that's what I would do on a small quantity.
And I guess even now, like if you're coming up with a new design, or if you want to test out something different, I think now it would be really easy for you to simply, take the design, put it on Instagram and see how people are reacting. And
Exactly. That's actually what we're doing with our Instagram story. We putting up several designs and ask a customer their opinion, because Instagram story has really good poll. Like you can take surveys, you can take polls, and you can really listen to what your customer wants and needs before you really invest in certain design. We also start doing pre-orders. So we give certain discounts to people who make pre-orders upfront. And then we decided if this is a design that we will continue to make, or we will it would be like just one-time deal. Yeah.
So the pre-ordering is just on your site. People can go and do the pre-order.
Yes.
Okay.
Pre-order. Yeah. Easy.
So now we're going to move on to our third segment, which I call the digital. And in this segment, I'm going to ask you a few questions specifically about your digital business and also digital marketing strategy. So I know that you have your main website, and I also saw that you had an Etsy store where you had a lot of products. Could you share a little bit about like all the different storefronts that you're selling? Are you selling on Amazon, eBay, other places also?
No, we mainly just sell on our Shopify website. This is actually our main website. We don't use Etsy as much. It's just a place where we maintain a presence. Let me put it this way. Yeah, so if you check out our Pinterest, if you check out our Instagram, everything actually lead customer to our website, our own website.
And Etsy is so it's not really a big source of driving your revenues. It's like 5%, 10%.
It's not a big source of revenue, and we didn't really put much efforts on Etsy as well. Yeah. Okay. It was just at the very beginning when we built the brand, we tried to be as many places as possible, so that so our customer can find us. So that was just there for that purpose.
Okay. Now I know, as you mentioned before, also most of your marketing is Instagram focused, but you also have a Pinterest page that drives people to your website. Mm-hmm. Can you share a little bit, focusing on Instagram? And you have a huge audience on Instagram. What did it take for you to build that audience from scratch? How long did it take you? And I know jewelry makes a really good Instagram product because it's very visual and it looks really beautiful on photography. Could you share a little bit, a few tips that you have learned along the way in terms of building an audience and engagement on Instagram?
Yeah, so the main source, like Instagram served as the main source of traffic for us, right? And the way that we building Instagram following is really mainly through our hashtag strategy and being on the explore page and also creating shareable content. It is extremely important for us to, the reason that you see we have a logo on all of our images is because our product pictures are highly shareable, and people share it to their stories, to their Instagram pages, and a lot of people coming back actually find our brand. And we also use very specific hashtag strategies where we find the size of the hashtags and the engagement of the hashtags, and we analyze our competency in all those hashtags, and we start utilize them strategically in our Facebook, in our Instagram posts, in order for our product to be in front of the people otherwise we wouldn't be able to reach at. And we also really focus on our engagement rate. That's what helped us to be on explore page of many customers, potential who are jewelry lovers. That's basically the three main strategies that we use to grow our traffic and following on Instagram.
And do you use any Instagram analytics tools that helps you to monitor engagement and things like that, or is it more organic?
We don't. So we know later would be a good app to use, but we actually don't use anything. It's everything. I think the system is simple and organic enough for you to just do like menu, analyze rather than using any apps. Yeah.
And one thing that is definitely noticeable both on your website and also your Instagram and Pinterest channel is the product photography and also the copy that is on the products on your e-commerce website, which is very well written. I'm very interested in knowing like how do you take those photos, and what is the process of writing that copy?
So the pictures, the web background pictures you see are actually coming from professional photographers that we outsource to taking the product pictures. And all the lifestyles, I actually take them myself on my iPhone. Just because I really enjoy showcase our jewelry myself. So that's part of like my hobby. So I just take them using the flat lay style. We actually, at the very beginning, we analyzed what is the viral content on Instagram, giving hashtags. We find what kind of style of the pictures customer are most acceptable, they really like. And we followed basically the same design and the flat lay of the pictures. And that's how we added our, you can see all the pictures have our branded color. It's like light lavender. So we wanted to keep them in a consistent theme. That's how we position our product pictures. Yeah.
And your copy is also written like by an agency, or how do you do that?
So copy are written by our social media managers.
Oh, okay.
On the Instagram, yes.
No, on your website.
On the website, we also have a bloggers who work with us on a part-time basis. That's all her creations. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. One thing that I noticed is that you're offering free shipping all over US, and you also ship internationally. Now, I think jewelry probably makes an easier product to ship because it's probably light and compact and things like that. How do you do the fulfillment in house, or do you work with a partner that helps you to ship internationally? What is the cost structure to ship, let's say, to a product to Australia or to some of these like countries overseas?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's one of the consideration because jewelry shipping cost is relatively low. It's a small product. We offer free shipping in order to optimize our conversion rate. And we use 3PL, fulfillment center in New Jersey, to ship all of our products at this moment. And for international orders, we offer free shipping for orders over $200. If it's below $200, we have a heavily subsidized rate of basically $10, $9.95, to help them ship to anywhere in the world. So yeah, we indeed see a big increase on cost of shipping just during the COVID this year. Just a lot of canceled and delayed flights. We had some troubles with the international shippings, but now we're seeing,
and your shipping partner is like FedEx or UPS or?
So we only use USPS and DHL.
Okay.
That's for international shipping. For express, we use DHL, and other than that, we use USPS.
Okay. One more question in the digital, your email marketing. One thing that I noticed on your website, you don't really have a really great like email capture thing. I know in the footer you have like an email thing. Given that most of your audience are coming from Instagram, how do you capture email addresses? Because I mean, as a business owner, I would be worried that Instagram changes something in their algorithm, and all of a sudden, I'm not getting as much engagement, or I'm not getting as many people coming to my platform, or they do so many different things. So I would want to capture that email address. Are you doing that right now?
Yeah, we do. We actually do have an email subscription pop up, but it won't show up once you close it off. It won't show up until a week or 2 weeks, or unless you change your export from Chrome or to Safari. So we indeed have that to capture, and we use a lot of automatic flows. Like we have a welcome series telling customers about our brand stories. We have abandoned cart series. We have cross-selling and upselling. We have loyalty programs to encourage customer making repeated purchase. We also, on a weekly basis, Monday and Tuesday, we have our campaigns going out. So yeah, that's basically our email marketing.
Okay, and now I'm going to move on to our final segment, which is called the rapid fire round. And the idea here is that I'm going to ask you a few questions, and you have to answer them in a few words or one or two sentences. Okay. So the first question is, would you recommend a book for entrepreneurs or business persons in 2020, and why?
For our work week. It's an old book, but it's still applicable today.
Yeah. An innovative product or idea in the current e-commerce, retail, or tech landscape that you're excited about?
Well, I think selling digital courses has been really big in 2020, and having a membership, subscription models is still fairly cheap.
And do you think that you would do that sometime in the future, like build a course or something?
Maybe, yes.
A productivity tool or software that you find useful?
We use Asana, Slack, and also Loom, 3 big things that we're using to manage our team.
Okay. A startup or business in e-commerce, retail, or tech that you think is doing great things right now?
I really like this Canadian jewelry brand, Jewelry. I think they are definitely one of the best startup out there.
What is it called?
It's called Jewelry.
Jewelry. Okay.
Yeah, it's a Canadian jewelry brand.
Okay. A peer entrepreneur or business person who inspires you?
Business person who inspired me, I would say Gary Vee.
Okay. Yeah, given that most of your marketing is social media, Gary Vee is definitely someone to look up to. And finally, the best business advice either you received or you would give to an online entrepreneur who's just starting out?
I would say there is no failure. Failure is just a feedback.
Perfect.
Yeah, until you give up.
Thank you so much. Those were all the questions that I had today, Angela. Thank you. I really want to thank you for all your insights and sharing your story, and I really appreciate your time. Please, anyone who wants to get in touch with you for any reason, what is the best way to get in touch with you? And if you want to share your any other products or services, please go ahead.
Sure. So our website is www.azurajewelry.com, AZURAGEWELRY.com. And everybody can find me at my email, angela@azurajewelry.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Angela. I really appreciate your time today. And thanks again for joining us at Trip Talks.
Thank you so much.